What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's free masterclass. My name is Nick Humphreys. I'm the founder of Train Effective. Yes, I'm the creator of Train Effective. And I'm going to be sharing with you some good lessons today. 7 lessons about playing in Europe. Played the last uh, 10, 11, 12 years in Europe. So have a lot of lessons to share. I'm originally from Australia. And you guys know, whether you're from Australia, whether from the US, whether you're from anywhere outside of Europe, the big dream, the big goal is to go and play in Europe one day. And so that's what I can be talking about today, all right? I'm just going to give a minute or two just for people to come on the stream. But Dovetail, how are you doing? Nice to meet you, Dove. Dhruv, good to see you as well, bro. Kabiu with some Japanese letters. Yo, what's up? XRDM, what's going on? WSG, yeah. Again, yeah, my name's Nick, the creator of Train Effective. And yeah, guys, Train Effective started with, it was just me out in Europe. Um, the original journey of this is when I was about 16 years old. And I was just your kind of average Sunday league-ish player. But I picked up this book one day, and this book called Magic of Thinking Big. If you guys don't know the book, go and have a read. I read this book, Magic of Thinking Big. And those moments that you have an epiphany. It's called an epiphany, where you go, boom, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to try and be. And for me, that was, I think I want to try to be a pro footballer. And I was like, bam, all right, I'm going to be aspiring. I'm going to be doing this. So what I started doing was training, but I wasn't getting better. Yeah, I was training a little bit, like 5, 6, 7 hours a week with the team. And then I read another book called Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. And I'm just referencing some books. So guys, with these masterclasses, take notes because you can learn a lot today. But I read Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. So it talks about the 10,000 hour rule. And the 10,000 hour rule is basically, to become world class in your field, you got to practice 10,000 hours. Now, if you do the math, that's about 20 hours a week for 10 years. 20 hours a week. All right. Most of you, if you're training twice a week with a team and playing one game a week with a team, that'll get you maybe, 200, 250 hours a year. So you try to do the math. How long is it going to take you to get your 10,000 hours if you're doing that consistently? Your career is probably done by then. But if you're doing 500 hours, 1,000 hours a year, well, you see the math. See, then at 18, 19, 20, 23, 16, whatever age you are, if you're doing those numbers, then you really get better. So that's what I applied. That's what I did. Got better. Played in Europe. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, right? Talk about the 7 lessons that I learned in Europe. And then I'm just going to go through these quickly, and then I'm going to open the floor for some questions and answers. So, yeah, guys, I'll start those lessons in a second. But Future Footballer, how's it going? Ethan, how's it going? Destiny Definer, hey from Greece. Hello, Greece. I love Greece. I love the Greeks. Who else do we have? We have Kabia again. What's going on? But yeah, Kabia, what's up? We're gonna get into the questions and answers at the end. All right. So let's just get into the 7 lessons. Lesson number 1. Lesson number 1, guys. The importance of technique. All right. So Europeans. All right, I played in Holland for 3 years. In Holland, I had the privilege of playing at very high youth academy level. Spent some time in a sort of first team reserves environment. So I've been playing with players that played for Ajax, for FC Utrecht, so some really high level Dutch teams. So I had the chance. I was fortunate to play with some of the best. Okay, and the technique of those players, what was great, right? It's amazing, some of the best in the world at that level. Um, and when you go down the levels, all right, so you drop down a level, drop down two, drop down three, drop down four levels, drop down all the way to the amateur level, the technique was still good. The technique was still good. And somewhere like Australia, where I'm from, okay, the technique at the highest levels is pretty decent. Okay, it's good. It's that European level, you could say. But when you start dropping down very quickly, you see a lot of the technique is no, that's not it. And so that's the thing about Europe, guys. Technique. If you want to go play in Europe one day, and right now your technique stands out, that's great. You really need great technique to compete in Europe. But that's not going to be enough. And I'll get into the reasons why with other 6 lessons. But the importance of technique can't be understated in Europe. You need to have good technique as a minimum requirement if you're going to be able to compete there, even at an amateur level, high amateur level, semi-professional level, whatever level you want to play at. Everyone has good technique. So just remember that technique. All right. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two, decision making under pressure. Let's talk about decision making. We have a lot of US players that come to the Train Effective camps. And, one thing that we see with the Americans, but also the Australians, Canadians, especially, is a lot of them come with good physique, good mentality as well. Um, you can see that a lot of them have practice on their technique, and then it comes into game situations, and you start seeing some of the flaws, and those flaws typically tend to be with their decision making. Now, let me explain. Give you an example. You know, let's say you're playing as a central midfielder, and you pick up the ball in the center of midfield. Your center defender gives you the ball. Now, instead of playing one touch to a player that's out on the wing in space, they'll take 1, 2, 3 touches and then just lay it back off to the center back because they weren't scanning. They weren't scanning. They didn't have the swivel on their head, looking left and right. What's behind them? Is there space behind me so I can turn? No, they're not looking at that. So they don't see that player that's in space. And instead, they're looking down with their head at the ball, and they just play the ball back, or they lose it, or they just don't make the most efficient decision for that time. So, that's why decision making under pressure is very important. This is stuff that you got to learn. And the reason why that American play example that I just gave is so common is because in other countries, you don't necessarily grow up with the game all the time. It's not all the time on TV. It's not as ingrained in the culture. So you're not getting those tactical insights on a daily, regular basis as you would in like Europe, where it's just kind of more ingrained in the culture. Everyone is kind of more tactically astute. And even things like the punditry. Give you an example. In the UK, there's a show called Match of the Day, and it's a 45-minute show, 1 hour show maybe, that goes into the highlights of the game. And it doesn't. The interesting thing about Match of the Day, it doesn't just show highlights, all right? But after every game, there's an analysis, and there'll be lines and scribbles, and it's actually informally a great way to learn about the game. So, Match of the Day, they have these shows in the UK, have these shows in Europe. It's very common, much less common in the US, in Australia, in other parts of the world where they just want to see the goals. So that's a big difference, right? If you want to go compete in Europe, you got to become more tactically astute, and you got to learn that decision making under pressure. Now, how do you do that? Well, it comes back to the basics, all right? Scanning, making scanning a habit in your game, going on the Train Effective app, which, by the way, guys, if you're just joining, I'm the creator, founder of Train Effective. So if I'm going to preach anything today, it's to make sure that you go in the Train Effective app and watch all the tactical videos in the Learn tab. All right. Make sure we go to all the tactical videos through the Learn tab. Learn about the fundamental role of playing as a midfielder. Learn about the art of wing play. Learn about every single position, how to play it, and then go to your trainings, go to your team, and apply that knowledge, and you'll become a better, smarter player. So keep that in mind. That is lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 it actually again goes more into the tactical awareness, right? Tactical awareness side and the game intelligence side. I just talked to you guys about decision making under pressure, and a lot of decision making under pressure to perform well. You need to have that swivel in your head. You need to be scanning and be aware of where players are on the pitch at all times. But now coming more to the game intelligence and the tactical awareness side, all right, give you some examples. When I play in Switzerland, when I play in Switzerland, when I played in Holland, I played in both those countries for 5, 6, 7 years, I think. What we'll do with the teams is that we'll always, every week at least probably run through the tactics, run through how we're going to play. If the ball is with the fullback, how are we going to press the fullback? If the ball is in the center mid, how are we going to provide options for the center mid? If the ball is with the goalkeeper, how are we going to be positioned? Are we going to be playing flat? Are we going to be playing more as a diamond? Where are the fullbacks positioned? Where is the number 6 positioned? Is the number 6 supposed to drop in and get the ball from the goalkeeper? The strikers, where are they positioned? Is there 3 at 3 up top? And one of those is a real holding center forward that is supposed to give a bounce pass back to the midfielders or to the wingers. So there's a lot more, I'd say, than in other countries, in Europe in particular, of the tactical way to play the game. And when you play with good tactics, you have a system, you have a way of playing which everyone is subscribed to. Now, if you can have less fit players, you can have even less fit players, less hungry players to win the game. But if they're playing a good system versus a team that doesn't have any, and they run around like headless chickens because they don't have a system, so everyone's kind of all over the place. What happens, right? The less ability team, the less fit team, um, even the team with less desire is going to win, even with the team that has more desire, more fuego, just because they have those systems. So that is one thing that you have to guys have to realize, is that in Europe it's all about that tactical awareness and that game intelligence. So that's lesson number 3, guys. 4 more lessons to go, and then we're gonna get into a Q&A. So, guys, as you're reading this today, see Future Football in the comments, Sean Shellhus in the comments. You have a good question there, mate. So I'm gonna get to that at the end. Brian Estrada, you got some good questions there. So just make sure you stick around, because we're gonna come back to that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, guys, lesson number 3 we've covered now. Lesson number 4 is the physical and mental conditioning differences. Okay. In Australia, where I've grown up, I've been actually playing in Australia recently. And one of the first teams that I started training with, I was surprised. I was surprised because I hadn't played in an Australian team environment in about 10 years, because I'd spent all this time in Europe. So I came back to Australia with fresh eyes about, okay, how is training going to be today? How's the coach going to approach? So I was training with a good semi-professional team, good semi-professional standard team, and the first trainings, we're doing the warm up and everything like that, and then it's November time. The season starts in February, so this is very early preseason. Get into the training, do the warm up, do nothing with the ball. We just get straight into that fitness, straight into that running, and maybe played a small game, 20-minute game or something at the end. But it was just all about running, all about running, all about running. And I thought, all right, first session, maybe this is just one component of preseason or something. No, this continued with every training sessions. There's a lot of running and a lot of running without the ball. So this is one key difference in Europe. When a lot of times when you're doing fitness exercises, fitness stuff in Europe, you're doing preseason, you're doing a lot with the ball, or you're doing a lot of intensive games. Maybe you're playing 3 against 3, 2 against 2, 4 against 4, things like that. You're doing that very intensively. So you're getting that conditioning, but you're also doing it in a way where there's a lot of pressure on you mentally. There's a lot of pressure on you to make good decisions, and there's just a lot of that. Um, and in other countries, I know that in the US, if you play in college, it's just about that running, running, running. So that is a big difference in Europe. It's when you're doing that physical conditioning, it's also combined with the mental conditioning, and also combined with that stuff that you're doing on the ball. So if you want to play in Europe one day, if you're thinking about how you can compete in Europe, have that in mind. Can you do, when you're doing your preseason, when you're doing your extra practice, can you do it in a way where you have to think under pressure, where you you have to, you're doing not just running sprints, doing 5, 10 kilometer runs and just going all out. No, are you doing intelligent preseason, intelligent fitness? That's a big thing. That's lesson number 4. Lesson number 5 um, is the role of good mentors and coaching. Okay. Uh, Outside of Europe, again, I can speak from experience. A lot of dads are coaching. You got your dad coaches. Someone's dad is coaching the team, or someone's mom is coaching the team, someone's brother is coaching the team. So you get a lot of coaches that from an early age maybe don't really know how to play soccer, don't know really how to play football. And so you start maybe wrongfully developing sort of the wrong things to focus on from young. And this translates into your game when you get older and older and older. And in Europe, because football is so ingrained in the culture, everyone at least has some sort of good understanding to how to play the game. And if a coach is not doing a good job, they're not showing a good way of the team how to play, the other parents will say that. The other players will even say that, just because there's a lot more of that higher developed tactical education decision making. Um, and so, if you're in these shoes right now where you're outside of Europe and you want to go play in Europe, look for that additional mentorship and coaching from someone that has played in Europe. On the Train Effective app, we have a lot of that content in the mentality section, in the tactical section. When you do our workouts, when you do our programs, everything is done by our top European coaches, ex pros, etc. So you're really getting that access to that elite coaching there. On the Train Effective side as well, we have something called the Train Effective Virtual Academy. Now, the Virtual Academy are like 1 hour, 30-minute masterclasses just like this. And today I'm giving you a free masterclass because this is part of the stuff that we do at the Train Effective Virtual Academy. And this is where if you just listen to me for an hour, listen to some of the pros, some of the top European coaches that we have on these masterclasses, you'll quickly start to absorb this information and the stuff that they're talking about, stuff that top academy managers, top academy coaches, top professional coaches are teaching to their players, and it becomes like osmosis when you start listening. Keyword: osmosis. And this is how you get that mentorship, that coaching in your ears, in your brain. A lot of this is visual. When you do things like the Trade Effective Virtual Academy, when you use our app. So if you haven't given that a go already, make sure you download the Trade Effective app and try the Virtual Academy. You can do it in the settings, or there's a tab where you can select Virtual Academy and go, and hopefully you can see you in our masterclasses there. But guys, that is a big thing, is the role of coaching and mentorship Two more lessons to go, guys, and then we'll get into your questions, which you've been listing. Make sure you start listing your questions so I can get a good idea of what you guys want to know and get. Yeah, guys. Number 6, the difference in culture in Europe. The culture in Europe, it's different. It's different. It's really different. All right. It's very different. The culture in Europe. I remember, I was born and raised in Australia, guys. All right. When I was about 15 years old, I moved to Budapest, Hungary. Um, Puskás Arena is where the 2025 Champions League final is going to be held. 2026, I can't remember. But the new stadium in Budapest, I think it held the last Euros final. Was it? No, that was Wembley. Anyway, they have a big stadium now there. That is Budapest. That is Budapest. And that's Eastern Europe, guys. So I came from happy, lovely, sunny Australia, and I got right into the thick of things in Budapest, Hungary, in the thick of Eastern Europe. That was different. All right. Culture is a bit different. When you go to Europe, particularly if you're coming from America, US, if you're coming from the Gulf, Saudi Arabia or those kind of places, Brazil, you're going to see this, guys. When you come to Europe, especially Eastern Europe, a little bit more colder. Okay, people are a little bit less friendly. People a little bit like this. I'm going to stand back a little bit. I might not interact. Okay, they're a little bit like that. Now, when you get to know Europeans, all right, very good, smart, intelligent, warm, loving people. But sometimes at the start, Europeans can be a little bit standoffish. Who is this guy? In America, sometimes you go and it seems like everyone wants to be your friend. Everyone is interested to learn about you. It's very easy to sort of make friends or at least have conversations. In Europe, it can be a little bit different. So that is a big difference in Europe. When you go to Europe, maybe when you go to a football environment, expect that sometimes a little bit colder, people a little bit more standoffish. And that's not to say that they don't like you. That's just the way it is in the culture. But of course, when you start making friends, when you get to know people, then it's like, how can I explain this? It's like a rock on the outside, which you kind of break a bit, and then you got the soft cheese in the inside. People a bit more warm and fuzzy and probably a terrible example to give, but I think you get my point. All right. Um, and yeah, one more thing about the culture that you guys be interested in. Um, I'll give you an example in Australia. In Australia, okay, when the game's over, people don't even take showers in the dressing room. When training's over, people are not taking showers. They're not going in the clubhouse. They're not really spending time together. Um, Even before training, maybe spending a couple of minutes, but it's usually not long. In Europe, it's different, man. In Europe, you have more at the center of what are like clubhouses. So these are clubhouses that are on the training side on where the fields are. And players usually get to training 15, 20, 30 minutes early. A lot of these clubhouses even have a bar. So you can go in the bar, maybe like have some, I don't know, food or drink or something. But it's more of these environments where you really get to talk to the players 30 minutes before training, and you develop that connection with the players. Um, After trainings and after games, a lot of players are spending time. First they have a shower together, um, so there's informally spending that time after training. And then they're having a chat, and then they go off. So in the dressing room, there's just a lot more of that, a bit of that culture. So if you're coming from outside of Europe to Europe and you're training with the team, you have to expect that players generally spend a bit more time with each other before and after training. Now, not such a big deal. It's actually a very positive thing. You get to know the players a bit better this way. But just expect that. Expect that when you go to Europe, this is how it is. It got a bit more of that culture there. Lesson number 7, guys. Train effective family. Professionalism. Professionalism. Okay. Give you an example. in Australia. I was with a team where a player was about 25 minutes late to the team talk, or to the arrival time of the team. Now, if you're 25 minutes late, 20 minutes late in well, I'll tell you what happened to this guy. Okay, 25 minutes late. In my opinion, if you're 25 minutes late, 20 minutes late, 2 minutes late, you should be dropped from the team sheet unless you had a really good reason, like you had a car accident or something. You should be dropped from the starting 11. Now, this player wasn't dropped. Okay, the reason why I say you should be dropped is the professionalism that I learned over in Europe. I told you guys I've played in Switzerland for 5 years. In Switzerland, guys, if you're not early, you're late. Okay, I'll repeat that one more time. If you're not early, you are late in Switzerland. And like so many times, as me as an Australian, just a little bit more laid back, I'd come to I'd arrive for games or training at that time, right? Let's say 6:45 p.m. I get there at 6:45, or I get there at 6:46 p.m. Boom, coach is on my back. Hey, why are you late? You got to be in the dressing room at this time. And silly me, I'm like, yeah, I should be 5 minutes, 10 minutes early, guys. With professionalism, you got to be at games, at training, 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early. In Europe, this is very important. Is that they're more conscious of time, more conscious of when you need to be places, and that ultimately dictates in the professionalism, in the discipline of European players. Okay, it's about being on time. Punctuality is a big, big thing. So yeah, guys, these were the 7 lessons. I'm gonna summarize them real quick. Number 1 was the importance of technique. Number 2 was decision making under pressure. Number 3 was the tactical awareness and the game intelligence. Number 4 was the physical and mental side of the game and the conditioning of the game. Lesson number 5, mentorship. Lesson number 6, the cultural side, and lesson number 7, professionalism and attitude. So I'm now going to answer a few of your questions. But I hope you guys got something out of that so far. Again, if you're listening to me, you don't know who I am. My name is Nick Humphreys. I'm the creator, the founder of Train Effective. And I've been learning these 7 lessons, or teaching you these 7 lessons today from my 10 plus years of playing in Europe, but originally being from Australia. So I thought I could relate with you guys on that level of, okay, the girls that want to go play in Europe, what are the differences going to be if you're from other parts of the world? So let's go into the first question. Yo, Capio asks, I want to know what are some good training sets with good training drills with hurdles, cones, agility ladder, mini goals that's not so big so I can do it indoors? Caviar, obviously, it's going to be very difficult for me to explain anything by voice right now. But one thing, Caviar, what you got to do right now, you got to go download the Train Effective app. You got to look at the workouts. You got to select your equipment. Look at those workouts and see, because every workout's listing out the kind of equipment that you need to perform a workout. Make sure that you go download the Train Effective app and you go check that out, because there's so much that you can do in small spaces, so much that you can do indoors. One example that I can give you right now that you can do indoors and you only need some cones and a ball is the wall workout. Do the wall workout A, B, or C. You're gonna love that. It's great for your passing, great for your technique. Whatever level you are, whether you're a beginner, whether you're advanced and a professional, you always need to work on that technique, or the passing. Always need to do those kind of drills. Always need to do the fundamentals. So that is a good one for you. The wall workout A, B, and C. So yeah, there's a lot that you can do there. Go check out the app. How important are instincts in football? The higher and higher level that you go, the more that you rely on your instincts. I think there was a study done by a Japanese scientist, or something like that, about Neymar and studying Neymar's brain when he's playing. And what the researchers learned is that when you see Neymar, right? When you see him dribbling, looks like he's doing it so quick, doing it so rapidly, especially when it was in his prime. Um, he does it so quick, and the defenders are so taken off guard because he's executing these things so quick. And the reason is because he's doing it all on autopilot. All the what the researchers were saying were that when they studied his brain when he's playing, he's just doing everything in autopilot, meaning he's not thinking during the game. He's just doing. And so that is very important how you can get to that autopilot. How do you get there? More playing, more training, more sort of visualizing what you're going to do before the game. So you do that consciously, and then in the game, subconsciously, you're just doing it. So autopilot, very important. Being in the zone, very important. The more you can learn about how you can be in the zone, the better, because that's when you have your best performances. Cabby, I already got the app and got my free trial. Don't have any money. Hey, Cabby, try the free stuff. And yeah, see what you can do, bro. See what you can do. I'm a midfielder and I'm about to do pickup. Is it about to play pickup? What should I focus on? Hey, I love playing pickup, bro. As a midfielder, if you want to be the best pickup player, this really goes for anyone playing pickup. Make sure you win. Make sure you win. If you're playing first to 10, make sure you win. If you're playing against not so good players and you want to get to the next level, you're on this because you want to improve, right? You want to get better, but you're not playing in that great level, and you know that you're better than everyone else or want to be better than everyone else. Hey, don't just win the game. Win the game by 3 goals or 5 goals or 1 goal or 2 goals or maybe 10 goals because they're really bad. Hey, that's gonna push you the extra. That's gonna push you the extra to make those runs and tackle, to motivate your teammates to score more goals. So important. So that's some pickup tips for anyone playing pickup. As a midfielder, yeah, look, see how you can create. How many chance creations can you do? That means shots that you take or chances that you create for others. Can you get 10 in the game, 20 in the game? Yeah, try set targets for yourself. So that is what I think you should focus on. All right. Dovetail. I love football. I love to train every day, but my decision making is terrible. What are some drills I can do to improve? Like, I'll be playing a game, but I'm never where I want to be. Okay. Dovetail positioning, very important. Okay, and this is something you have to work on. Every player that is not confident with their decision making, you can be excellent everywhere else, but if you're not confident about your decision making, it's going to impact your confidence. It's going to impact what you're going to be overthinking where you should be in the field, and this should just be very natural. So for any player that struggles with decision making, one thing you gotta study is, number one, every single tactical video on the Train Effective app. There are 100 plus on there. Study it. It's talking about positioning. It's talking about positioning. You're getting these masterclasses delivered by experts talking about positioning. So make sure you got to study every single day, right? On that, look at the Train Effective app for that, for those tactical insights. When you've done that, okay, maybe you look at 2 or 3 videos from the app every day, and then the second step, watch a game. Okay, watch a game where you can rewind, pause, watch what players are doing 10 seconds before they get in the ball. Where are they positioned? How are they scanning? How are they receiving the ball? Is it on the half turn? Is it with their back towards the goal? Is it how they're receiving the ball? How are they dribbling? How many touches are they taking? Is it only with their left and their right foot? Is it, what's the positioning of the defender? So many things you can look into. Second is look at the player in your position. Very big key. Okay, if you're playing as a centre mid, study the best centre mids in your position. If you're playing as a winger, study left winger. Study what the left wingers are doing. Try pick someone at a similar height, similar body weight, similar build, because a lot of the times they could play similar to you. So, if for me, growing up, people told me to look at Aaron Ramsey. people told me to look at players like Aaron Ramsey, Frank Lampard, players like that. So that's who you should look at. That's who you should look at. All right, guys, we'll take maybe 2 more questions. So if you haven't put your question down in the chat yet, make sure you do. What's a skill move that you recommend? Any short, sharp, quick movement, quick step over, but nothing fancy, guys. None of these flicks, and I'm not all about that. I'm just about, if I'm taking a player one-on-one, I'm going to be using both feet, all right, left and right foot. That's the most dangerous skill you can have when you're taking players one-on-one. When you beat players, it was when you can use both feet, because that makes you the most unpredictable. But yeah, secondly, it's all about how am I going to get the player on their weak side so I can exploit that weak side, and then I just penetrate that. It's not about, for me, it's not about, doing flicks, fancy tricks, things like that. It's just, how can I get the defender off balance and then go in the way where the defender can't touch me anymore. So just get the defender off balance. Dovetail. What is your... Oh, hey, great question. What is your least favorite drill on the Train Effective app? Mine is explosive suicides. Oh, yeah. Suicides, or those shuttle runs. Ooh, those are tough, guys. They're tough, but it's the best way to build conditioning. So for me, it's probably the John Moses drill. John Moses drill on the Train Effective app. This is probably my least favorite exercise, because your legs are burning when you're doing that a couple of sets. The John Moses drill, your legs are burning, and that's why I like that as a fitness drill, because that's also a drill where you're working with the ball, but because you're running forwards and backwards, you're really burning those legs, guys. Really burning those legs. So yeah, mine is a John Moses drill, and that is named after one of our famous coaches at Train Effective, Coach John Moses. So yeah, that's a good one. All right, guys, I'll take one more question and then we'll wrap this up. Brian Estrada says, let's see, hold on. Brian Estrada says, can you tell me one thing that can make you a good defender? One thing, anticipation. You think about a lot of center backs, guys. You think about Virgil van Dijk, right? Virgil van Dijk, when you think of him, he's tall, he's big, good tackles, obviously one of the best defenders in the world, but he's not that quick. Virgil van Dijk is not that quick, but what he does well, anticipation. When you see Virgil van Dijk play, it looks like he can read the game 2-3 steps ahead. He knows where the ball's coming, so he can position himself in that way where he can get to the ball first, get that header first. He's very intelligent. He looks like he knows where players are about to go. We've done videos on studying Van Dijk before, and very interesting about the thing about Van Dijk, he's looking at players in the eyes rather than looking the ball at the feet, because he thinks with the eyes he can see which direction the players are going to go. I think that's a very interesting one about Virgil van Dijk. It's just that anticipation. And when you have good anticipation, you know where you're going to be positioned. You're more confident about where players are going to go, etc. So anticipation. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. This was the 7 lessons of playing in Europe Masterclass. It was really great to see you guys. Dovetail, Drippy Mike, Tin Follis, Future Footballer. Make sure you guys download the Train Effective app. Secondly, we have camps coming up this year at Train Effective. If you've ever wanted to attend a camp in Europe, sorry guys, it's early here in Australia today. We have the Train Effective camps going on in London, England, the world's capital of football. I've played all around the world, guys. So London, I've lived in London for a few years. If you love football, London is the best place in the world, because you have so many teams there. Every pub, every football is so ingrained in London. It's London and football. They just mix, right? It's assist it. So we have Train Effective camps going on in England, in London. So if you want to join a camp this summer, want to live like a professional for a few weeks, make sure you go to traineffective.com and check out the camps that we got on offer. But otherwise, guys, it was great to chat to you today. And I want to say, stay effective, get the best training of your life today. Make your next training session your best session. Make your next analysis session your best session. All right. Peace. Dovetail, good to see you. See you guys on the next stream. Peace.